Okay, welcome everybody to Bell Forge, to the Performing Arts Center here. Today's afternoon is going to be a very exciting event of storytelling and poetry about change to heal and heal to change. We are sponsored by the 100,000 Poets for Change, and I'll tell you a little more about them later. They promote peace, sustainability, and justice, calling for social, political, and environmental change. We are very excited to have a wonderful lineup today of poets and storytellers who all share their commitment to environmental and social justice issues. Our first performer is Harlem 125, aka Jamil Adams. I've known him for a while and I've been blown away every time I've seen him perform. He's a celebrated and high-energy poet who gave a TED Talk called Race, Love, and Freedom. He continues to electrify audiences with he's a highly regarded figure in competitions, performance, concerts, and beyond. He believes that with love, inclusion, and trust, no one should be left out. And our ability to come together amongst different beliefs is limitless. He's been well known dealing with issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And several times in the last couple of years, he's been called to high schools, colleges, and communities to bring calm and constructive unity after incidents of racial injustice. He bills himself as none other than the human highlight of poetry and edu-activism. Here he is, Harlem 125.
I believe that we believe in love. And so I'll share something new called love. Let me say love. Say love. How you love. Who you love. Again, love. How you love. Who you love. Now what that means is, in the world, you should love others the way that you love the people you love. When you think of the folks that you love, if they're in danger, or if they're in trouble, or if they're in harm's way, we would like to help them. We would like to be there for them. We want to make sure that they're safe. There's no part of your thought process says, I'll do up until this point for your loved ones. Is that correct? Yes? So imagine we have that same energy for each other. And don't stop short of being there for each other. That's what that means. Love how you love who you love. Love how you love who you love. Love like your lungs love oxygen. Like hugs from someone you love when frigid inside your own body. Like you don't have enough time, but use all the time you have left to love. Love beyond texture, beyond words, beyond measure, without pressure, but with urgency. Love is always urgent. When is love not a necessity? Do you think love is necessary right now? In the world? Absolutely. Love yourself and everyone else. Love trust. Trust that everyone will be themselves. And when you think there is no love, look at the reflection of yourself and say, I love myself. Let me say, I love myself. Turn to someone next to you and say, I hope you love yourself. Love how you love who you love. Through the tears, don't stop loving. When you think you should stop, love more. I don't believe love hurts. I believe love allows us to hurt. Allowing us to love away the pain. Who told you? Who told you love is always happy? Who told you? Who told you love is always happy? Love is always love. Love is always right. Love is might. Might you have the insight to love? Amy means love. Can you, Amy, JP, Amy, can you love when it's complex, unimaginable, disgraceful, godless, public, private, soft and silent, noisy and irreverent, in the presence of evil, in the danger of circumstance? If not, can you take a chance? Can you take a chance on love? Try love. Love is that strength. Can you let go and let love? Can you say, I love you and mean it? Let's love, y'all. Sheesh, I mean, can you forgive with love? Can you restore love? Love never leaves, but can always be found. Love never leaves, but can always be found. Profound is love. Let's live as love. See, family exists best as love, so let's be family. Let's be love. Love is powerful. There is God in you, sure as there's a queen, king, and non-binary royalty in you. And God is always love. So be your best self, knowing your best self is love. Love how you love who you love. When someone you don't recognize, because we all have likely crossed paths before, some way, somehow, recognize there is a connection between you. See you when you see them. See love first until they show you something else. And if they are hurt, and you are not clinical or medical doctor, or they are in pain and drained, and you are not qualified or certified, or they are in need and you have, don't stop, don't quit, don't give up, don't just try everything you could. Do love, and love how you love who you love. Do folks have any questions about anything that you heard so far? Anything? Any questions? Preguntas. Doesn't have to be in English. Anyone? Anyone?
Camille,
Yes.
do you think poets can stop racism in this country?
Do I think poets can stop racism in this country? Poets can be a part of the message that stops the continued construct resulting from racism. Construct being race. And since it's a construct, that means we can reconstruct, we can destroy it, destruct it, or we can reconstruct it, construct something different, something new. And I think that poets can be a significant part of that reconstruction. And I believe that we are in many ways. And then some folks who may use poetry to try to keep it the same way. But I believe that we are the love that hate can't stop. And love will win. Love always, you heard the poem, I believe love always wins. Always wins. It's not always happy, but love always wins. Always. You can't go wrong with love. I just strongly believe that. Sometimes that's what you need to do. That was the most difficult. Is the love piece. You know what I mean? And so let that guide you, even when it's most difficult. Sometimes that means you got to defend yourself. Sometimes you got to protect and defend others. Love. You go with that, it'll be all right. If you live your life with love in the mix first, you probably got a life that you appreciate. I mean, that's just something that I'm learning in life as I get older. One family. Thanks, family. Thank you. Appreciate you, family. Thank you so much. Thank you.
In an essay called Writing, Auden said, "Insofar as poetry or any of the arts can be said to have an ulterior purpose, it is by telling the truth, to disenchant, and to disintoxicate." And we are here sponsored by the 100,000 Poets of Change, which has organized over 5,000 poetry, art, and music gatherings for the cause of peace, justice, and sustainability across the globe for the last 10 years. And poets from many languages, regions, ethnicities, creeds, beliefs have all come together year after year for poetry readings without any preconditions or censorship, where participants speak out for causes nearest to their hearts. And that's what we're doing here. We've been doing it many years at Espresso Yourself Coffee House, and now we're doing it here at the new Belforge Art Center. Our next poet is Betsy Johnson. Her work has appeared in literary journals and anthologies, including Marmalade and the books Flat Earth Diary and Out on a Limb. She's driven to write stories and poems as a way to create and connect as a community, to create a door through which others can walk. She has served on the board of directors of Spark Kindness, a grassroots nonprofit organization dedicated to building inclusive communities where no child or family feels alone, bullied, unsupported, or connected, or unconnected. So here we are welcoming Betsy Johnson.
Sophia mentioned a little bit that I write a lot about metaphor and finding metaphor in the daily details of our lives and maybe noticing beauty where it might not be apparent. I also write a lot about autism. My husband and I have a 20-year-old child who is autistic, and raising a neurodiverse child continues to teach me who I am. They are beautiful, quirky, funny, smart, artistic, non-binary, and an out-of-the-box thinker. And I am still growing into this role, and I know I probably always will be. And one thing that comes with autism, at least in the presentation of my own child, is obsessions, or some people call them hyperfixations. And we have this in spades in our house. Yes, you, Teddy. We have this in spades in our house. And for my child, they can last weeks or months, years, and they dominate their existence and are truly the lens through which they view the world. For about 2 years, when they were about 12, 13 years old, they were obsessed with the Broadway musical Wicked. How many people have seen Wicked on Broadway? It's also a book written by Gregory Maguire, who, by the way, lives in Concord, Massachusetts. And Wicked is the story of the Wicked Witch of the West before The Wizard of Oz happened. So it's a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, and it is her story. She was born green. She is fierce. She is concerned with social justice. She is passionate about animals. And she's brilliant and has an inborn power that she can't control or understand, at least in the beginning. And although she tries hard, because she's different, she is marginalized by society. She is misunderstood, she is bullied, and she is even hated. And this story is one where she grows into her own power. And in this famous piece that closes Act 1, it's called Defying Gravity. Anybody know that song? Yep. She comes into her full self, and she quite literally rises and flies. So my first piece is called Defying Gravity. Music pouring into the car, the Charles River fiercely gleaming, the string section leading the horns as we take that curve, and in that billowing joy and the strings hurling themselves forward, I try to explain to you that when the music opens up inside your chest, it's supposed to feel a little painful. So that really the music pushes forward through a curtain of pain, like an atmosphere rippling above the fire, and it's like those movies where the astronaut leaves Earth, the capsule shaking to show how we could shatter. And the astronaut's face burning as though his accumulation of sorrows were finally falling away. And that's what's happening here in the car. And so I speed up over the bridge to mark it because the music is surging. Because really, I am the space capsule. The shuddering vehicle, whatever sorrows she has, my girl is moving forward too. And for a little while, this star rider, this star creature, this fellow earthling, she's gathering herself inside. So one of the reasons I'm visiting my father very often these days is that he's struggling with Alzheimer's. And so each time I visit, which is now often, there's heartbreak. Heartbreak. And this piece is simply my attempt to come to terms with what is the final chapter of my father's life. We talk a lot about his childhood when I visit because right now he forgets a lot, and that memory, his childhood, is the only thing that's sort of intact. And more than any other experience in my life, my father's disease has taught me the immense, immense importance of the present moment. We try to make all our moments positive, right? Because even those moments will not be remembered, but it's all we have for now. This piece is called Alzheimer's. Snapped in the slack of a crisis that sleeps and roars but doesn't seem to end. My 91-year-old father's memory doesn't last 15 seconds. I'm on the phone with him daily, swimming in his lost pauses, crying afterward, letting the beauty and sadness of his life, as it unravels, wash over me, affect me, throw me beyond myself, and undertow me back smaller in this world larger in the depth of it all. And in the seconds when I wake and I'm floating in that sea of life before climbing onto the raft of this day, dressing in the dark, as it lightens, as I make my coffee and scan the news, which further deadens me, I can't stop thinking, there's nowhere to go. No way to leave that one long procedure his life has turned into. And if I could, I'd sweep like a falcon intent on finding home, and I would pull him out of his skin, out of the prelude of this death, and I would carry him in my mouth into the sky, and I would leave him on the softest cloud I could find, so he could curl up around the beginning and finally sleep right where the snow begins.
Love it.
So I was at the beach, and I was watching this father and child, or at least what I, in my head, told myself was a father and child making some sandcastles. The girl at the beach hardly comes up to the top of her father's legs. She has work to do. She is carrying bucket after bucket of water to build a lake. The castle in the middle, and her father is helping her, but he spends a little bit of time standing back. She only learned to walk last year, you might be thinking. Now she's building something of her own with what she has at hand: sand and water. Now the father is teaching her how to drip sand and water between her fingers to build a castle. And then he stops. He lets her do the rest by herself. Perhaps the two of them will be gone when the tide pours in and rips through her work, like the driving lunge of a hurricane across the coastline. Or I wonder, will the father think she needs to stay and learn this lesson too? Well, that went fast. I have this one piece left, which is a little bit of a comedic take on the very popular poem by Robert Frost called The Road Less Traveled. Sometimes change and journey are not as linear as old Robert would like us to believe, aren't they? Two paths diverged in a yellow wood. And Robert Frost thinks he's some kind of hot shit for catching a lucky break on a 50-50 bet. Thinks that made all the difference? I got news for you, Bob. It didn't. Frost, he didn't seem to know much about life. You see, he could go here, or he could go here. There's only so many kudos to be handed out in this life when you're not following the crowd and the goal is to get here. Here's what I think. If you really want insight, you need to read Dr. Seuss. Crossroads in Seuss are not binary. There are so many roads meeting in one place you can't even see any lines. It's a mess of tentacled paths, indistinguishable and interlacing. It's like jellyfish doing it. They don't even look like roads. Looks like you could go anywhere. And roads? They're overrated anyway. Seuss is beautiful because for miles, there's a million roads going your way. And being on the wrong track is never very far from being on the right one. As long as you can see that dream suspended between your eye and the setting sun. As if a yellow brick road really leads us where we want to go. Haven't you seen the movie? There's flying monkeys that way. There will always be more than two roads, disappearing into the distance, outpacing reunions and slowed metabolisms. Don't look for the road that's less traveled. Find the roads most traveled by the preferable yous you haven't been yet. Maybe that won't make all the difference. but at least you'll have made a truly courageous choice. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So glad that you're here. He's taking a picture of me, so I'm pretending that I'm talking. I was walking to school and I said to myself, it would be nice if I wrote I did fine. So I searched hence and yon, whatever that means, to conjure the one in my mind. It was pink with few speckles and even well trained to make knots of remarkable feet. They can't hear me. And said, when I said poetry, here they would come. All 3 knots can't be beat. Thank you. Then I thought of the problem I had with my shoes when I tried to tie bows of delight. The long laces get twisted. Yes, when I tried to tie bows of delight, the long laces got twisted and tangled about. It takes magic to make them all right. Woo! Woo! But the really hard part that you haven't observed, that I do with panache and such flair, is to tie a round knot in this colorful rope, all in rhyme with one hand in midair. So if you can hear me, yay. Our next performer is none other than Lytle. Lytle. He's a freelance performance artist, poet, and musician based in Providence. He's come all the way from Providence, Rhode Island to join us. Woo! He has an acting MFA degree from Brown University, Trinity Repertory. He co-founded a neurodiverse theater company called the Spectrum Theater Ensemble. He has produced a number of solo shows focusing on destigmatizing mental health and addiction and exploring how people and communities can change for the better. Please welcome Lytle.
Just to start off a little song, because I don't know you folks and you don't know me, so I want you to meet me a little bit. And I do better meeting people with a barrier between us, that being a guitar. Wouldn't want to get too vulnerable with you guys right off the bat, God forbid. So yeah, like I was just introduced, I have my master's in acting, so you know I'm qualified to be here. And I'm just going to start off with a song, because what I want to challenge today is I want to think about a couple words. I want to think about the word taboo, and if that serves us. And I want to think about the word intersectionality, because I think that's also something we need to think about. I want us to think about staying in your lane, but also maybe not. Certain things to stay in your lane for, certain things not to worry about. I apologize if any of this offends you, but it is part of what I do. There are no swear words for the little one as a precursor before you get nervous. If I do swear, I apologize. Because I do swear. Often. I swear. And you swear, it will not offend you, but if I swear, it might. So, I'll do my best not to, but I might conjure images and ideas. But remember that I didn't do that, you did. I might say a word, or a series of words. Beautiful word. Let's hear it for everybody who came before me real quick before I keep going on about this series of words. My gosh, talk about a series of words. Beautiful series of words started us off. Betsy, thank you for having. Betsy was my connection to this place. I've never been to the Belfort. If it was a mental hospital, I feel a certain kinship with it, generational understanding. This is really my home in a way. I belonged here before any of you did. Well, thank you so much for all your words. If you gotta run, I totally understand. It's okay. Sometimes talking about something is too hard, so I cut it up into little pieces, and I make a word salad. Well, I've been daydreaming about my dog dying. I hear gunshots every time I pass a school, and every person I meet is lying. And I've been diagnosed with a deep mistrust of my mind. I constantly look up the definition of disassociation and I'm losing track of time. And I think about what you'll think about me when I'm dead. I regurgitate, review, reevaluate, and conclude I regret what I said. I have this affliction that coincides on and off with my addictions. I flash back to a trash past I'd rather not time travel back and relive it. Then I wake up screaming from a dream with no real meaning. I'm afraid, I'm so afraid. I can only hear my own heart beating. And I think about what you think about me when I'm dead. I regurgitate, review, reevaluate, and conclude I regret what I said. But wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a good day today? But we won't. I'm a drama queen, drama bows before me. Suffering my defeat, 'cause nobody likes me. I'm a drama queen. So I'm thinking about these words, phrases, series of words, thinking about these different ideas. Like, have you ever wondered, in an accurate percentage, how much time you spend on the toilet? Total toilet time. Dogs sleep for like 60% of their lives. How much time do you spend scrolling or responding to text messages while relieving yourself? You know, there was a time, not all that long ago, where people would just sit there and they would shaw. They would just shaw. They would just go to the bathroom. Their total toilet time was a waste of time. They recently discovered that there's a second brain inside of your intestines. I'm not trying to be poetic. There's a second brain in your intestines. Is this not blowing your mind? Who knew that gut health and mental health would be related? Now I think you're beginning to put together why I am so concerned with total toilet time. I don't know why I have to ask my fiance multiple times for us to get a bidet. Total toilet time. That is to say, I think a lot of things without like the intention of thinking them. Sometimes it's easier to think about something in pieces, so you chop it up. Like I mentioned to my fiance, my pronouns are he, him. But I look fucking fantastic in this makeup. I'm sorry for my language. It was worth it to me. What is taboo but a way of protecting a sensibility that's already dead? I'm sorry to tell you, but American Manifest Destiny died with boomers. Your economics didn't work. I can't own a house because of you. Do you get that? Oh, what? The diamond industry is dying. I'm sorry. That was not my fault. So then why are we arguing about total toilet time? Right? So why would I care so much about this idea when I feel attacked for something I didn't make? Climate change? People, we're still debating its existence? This is the coldest summer we have left. Fact. You have a second brain in your intestines. Fact. This is the coldest summer we have left. I'm barely up here, and my beautiful makeup is running. I'd like to thank Jake Freeman from Muhlenberg College for saying, my nail polish looks fantastic. Total toilet time. Got it now. You've learned.
I'll tell you a little bit more about myself so that you know that I'm qualified to be here. I am a bisexual man engaged to a woman. I am an alcoholic. I have ADHD and I'm diagnosed with BPD. That's water. Treat you right out. So yeah, BPD, what is that? Borderline personality disorder. It really explains it well. Very, not frightening to get that diagnosis. After already being sober for a few months, giving up on that after your diagnosis, of course, because borderline personality disorder, literally in the diagnosis, is that you have, imbalanced relationships, that you are actually hard to deal with. That is the diagnosis. And then I looked into the research of it. Let's talk about what that is. What is borderline? Well, it's part of a cluster B neurodivergent conditions, including bipolar 1, 2, and a myriad of other things. Narcissism, autism fits into cluster B. It's essentially anything that's not normal. Let's talk about normal. Does normal typicality exist? I think it exists as much as white supremacy, in that there are white people, in that some of those people think they're better than other people, but that's not a fact. And it just so happens that in the way that we've been doing this American Manifest Destiny, white people have it so easy on top that they can dictate how we view other things. So there's these cluster of weirdos here. Let's call them Group A. I don't need it. Call them Group A, all right? Here's the cluster of weirdos, all right? And here's other people. So then there's someone over here like me, cluster of weirdos here, gets to go, hey, you over there, you're hard to deal with. Did you ever meet someone normal? One of 5 things is true. They're addicted to pornography. They spend too much time on social media. They celebrate their birthday week in their 30s. Or, if they're not just basic, they're a serial killer. Did you ever see BTK? The real serial killer? The longest lasting serial killer? BTK, Buying Torture Kill? Normal looking dude. Don't be normal. Cluster of people are just a constellation over here that happen to think they're a sun, but they're not. You look at the sky, they all look like it's just a blanket, but it's not. You're staring into infinity every day. So people thinking they're a sun, they're light years apart from each other. But to us down here, they look like they're powerful. But they're nothing, they're no more than every other pinprick in the sky that stands on its own, surrounded by nothingness. They're nothing more than the things that we can't see. You know, the stars in the skies don't exist, they're dead. They've been dead. The closest we are to now is that Webb telescope up there. And it stares so deep into our past in any direction. Did you know that? You can spot the Big Bang in any direction. might suggest that at this moment we're a little directionless. If your past has surrounded you, I'm going to actually do some real poems now. We're talking about change. I thought there were some themes earlier in the program that were beautiful. And that's when I thought of the word intersectionality. I promise I earned my queer card, even though I'm getting married to a woman. I promise that I earned the struggle, even though I'm white. I promise that I am self-reflective enough to know that I am a narcissist. There's a bunch of you over there, and one of me here, and I'm asking for money to talk about me. But from my perspective, me is you. If I've learned anything, the closest thing, the easiest way to overcome a cluster B neurodivergent condition, which makes it harder to deal with, is to imagine like Vishnu. We all live time in a circle, and at one point I'm you, and at one point I'm you, and tomorrow I'll be you, and the next day I'll be you, and yesterday I was you, and today I'm me, but we're all the same thing. You know, we're made of stardust. You're the universe reflecting in on itself. You're the only place anywhere where atoms contemplate atoms. So I guess all of that is just to say, I'm so sorry for being hard to deal with. I lost my mind last week, only temporarily, but it came down to a hole in my tongue and a new tattoo and a bottle of cough syrup. And then I fell, and 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 I fell into bed. And I thought, and I thought, and I thought, and I heard you say you loved me. My mirror reflection looked ashamed. I pried the metal bar from my tongue, pronounced my words correctly for the first time in days, surrendered to your portrait, locked my eyelids, and I fell, and I fell, and I fell, and I fell into bed, and I fell asleep. Is it addiction if I'm running away from it? I will do anything not to be bored, but I'm not facing it. Chase adventure, chase the chase. What am I? Clearly I'm a little human. A little, at least. What does that mean? Actor, athlete, musician, romantic, narcissist. Distracted, rambling, dramatic, erratic. Compassionate, charming, weak-willed, lazy, loud, talkative, speed demon, loyal, light-hearted, intensely laid back, relentless, stubborn, persistent, innocent, wicked, mischievous, politely militant. A rock in the current, tumbling, tossing, slowly changing shape, smoother, more effective, more efficiently gliding across the riverbed between your sheets, streamlined the straight line of thought, submitting a fate toss backwards, forward, and back and forth, submitting museless, musicless, a filter of white noise, coward, sheltered, love-worn, old soul, hermit, socialite, hypocrite, incorrigible, lush. But in spite of all that, let's talk and 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 talk. And I'd like to call you in, and I'd like to be more politically correct. And I'd like us to think about the nature of where we're standing and the indigenous people that once inhabited here. Because for white folks with big paychecks working in academia, so long as we introduce it as indigenous land, we can still occupy it and act like we're better than it. Good job, guys. We're spending our time focusing on making sure that everyone's invited to the table and that we're being so safe that abortion rights are going goodbye. The things that matter, that really matter, are going goodbye. And these people, these group of people that think they're a son, and they're not actually anything like that. They're a bunch of pinpricks light years apart from each other that happen to be in the same trajectory. But remember, anytime you go further in any direction, it's just going into our path. So I'm sick of looking at them like they have any power. I'm interested in the pinpricks in the blanket, in the fabric that are right here in front of me right now. I'm more interested in acknowledging I'm privileged, I'm white, but that didn't stop bullies from picking on me. That didn't stop me from being brought down. That didn't stop me from misidentifying what am I. That didn't keep me in the closet. And then, I'm sorry, yes, it sounds like I'm gonna bash on the hetero white folks, but you queers, you gatekeeping, definition-holding queers, relax. Stop taking life so seriously. Because as we do that, we're segregating ourselves. I'm sick of being called heteronormative. Am I heteronormative? Maybe. But I'm sick of getting called that by people who don't know me. You know, in the 70s, heteronormative was a term coined by the gay community. It was meant to butt people like me out because we weren't helping the cause. So while we're here, and we're going to call each other in, and we're going to make sure that we acknowledge the land we're on, but still, I'm on the top of the pyramid. I'm just pointing out the pyramid doesn't always point this way. Sometimes it points a little this way. So sometimes when I hear another gay white guy complain about like their struggle, I want to be like, then stop it. You're on the top too. I'm bisexual. You think by that thing I'd have some kind of no. You kicked me out of both rooms. I'm a door frame. Did I ever come out of a closet? Was I ever in one? I got called the F word enough times to assume one thing, and when I got called that, I would think you're half right. But I did like heteronormativity. I liked girls. I liked pro wrestling. I liked wrestling with my friends. I liked football. I liked soccer. I liked makeup. I like climbing trees. I like doing hair really well. I like fixing my roots. I like those masks that you put on and you peel them off and then you look at the little things that show that there are holes inside of each and every single one of us that get filled up and clogged. I want to remind every single one of us that we bleed red, but we're not entirely sure what color it is when it's inside the body. Maybe it is. We're going to do another real poem and then probably start wrapping it up. But this is about change. So I put an entire book of short poems into a series. Because again, staying in your lane or getting out of it in intersectionality. I'm not here to say that, like was posed before, can poets stop racism? I think it's a piece of the puzzle. But I think we need to stop being so hard to ourselves and to the things that our brain, which is a machine made to make connections and patterns that aren't always based in reality or gravity, that maybe we need to look beyond the idea of this scope and see outside what is this bright, illuminated powerhouse that is just no longer serving us. We don't revolve around that. It's a lie. In my recent one-man show called Trauma Queens, Feelings Don't Know, a series of experimental poetry to escape the shape of door frames, also known as The Ritual of Lemons. If you ever follow my work, you'll realize I like titles. They tend to be paragraphs. Because to me, I judge things by a title. Maybe not by the cover, but by its title. And I think poetry is one of the most interesting things, where the title can sometimes reflect the poem. Like, if the title of the poem is the last words I ever said to you, and it's just a picture of someone holding up the middle finger, that says a lot more than if there was an untitled photo there of someone holding up the middle finger. You know what I'm saying? This is called lather, rinse, relapse, and repeat. This is suggesting that mental health is a narrative to make you feel edgy or more politically correct. It's not correct. I'm going to call him one. Just invite everyone to know that, we still occupy, we still colonialize, we still marginalize our minds. Do zebras have fur? I ask this because of their stripes. I like to think that the stripes are on their skin. Fur can be shaved. Then there would only be horses. Wouldn't that be tragic? I ask this because I'm an addict and I have a problem with my stripes. I'd rather there only be horses. Arthritis cuts my wrists, kind of like melancholy, toothache, loneliness, like when the pressure drops before a storm to give the animals fair play. Self-destruction is on the way. It's just wanted me to know it never really left. It's fair play. This poem is called All Villains in Classical Plays Are Left-Handed, but it's actually about healthcare. I'm left-handed. Does that make me guilty? Is that the thing that makes me backwards? Everyone's heart is on their left, some right with their right. We all have rights, and the right way is the only way. And by the way, my house is on the right, at least from the highway. The left hand is the devil's hand. Only because, by the way back when, and even now in some places, you wipe your ass with your left hand, and you shake with your right hand. You shake your right hand, your neighbor's hand, the right man with your right hand. Hand it to me, this is pretty clever. However, I have one observation. Look at yourself, so righteous, so just. Why does the left want to do the right thing and move things forward? And the right wants to block my right to get the things that I need to live, to get the care I need to survive. I'm embarrassed to ask for the right to be alive. Are we all blind? We argue and lie while we go bankrupt and die. And to me, this is a conundrum because historically, I am the villain. Your sensitive skin will be the death of us all. When will it be okay to laugh at a Columbine joke? Sorry, that one's dated, I guess, by now. My sister's a 4th grade school teacher. I commend her for her bravery. I hope she makes it back home alive. Her war zone is about 5 minutes away from her house, and I passed it on the way here. It's Walpole. I get mad about that all the time. Thoughts and prayers. Good job. Let's try something different now. But thank God, we left here, politically correct. No, this land was indigenous. Now white people stand on it. And me standing there and like inviting better language is like what we in academia call hypocritical bullshit. Thank you so much. I think it's easy to make the argument, the abortion argument, because you don't acknowledge how human you are. You're human, narrow-minded, colorblind gaze, assuming our world is perfection, assuming we were Jesus worthy. What if the abortion argument, you ask? Well, what if Mary had an abortion? What's the debate? Oh, you pesky little humans. With your human perspective, I wonder if Jesus was gunned down by a skinhead, white nationalist, neo-Nazi, or an itchy-finger hair-trigger officer who swears he isn't racist, just blinded by fear and adrenaline because Jesus was a man of color. And Jesus was a Jew. I wonder if the naloxone hydrochloride injection wasn't administered in time. It's known as Narcan because saving a life is copyrighted. And since you didn't know that, Jesus lies half naked, cold on the bathroom tiles, turning blue like midday gray clouds, crying. I wonder if there was no one to help him with his stutter as the foster family's fingers meant for praying pride all things holy. I think it's easy to make that argument because you choose to ignore how unworthy you are of an collection experience. Thank you so much for sitting here in the hot sun, clean, going, hydrating yourself, listening to me prattle on about random things here and now, whatever. I hope you think about that idea because I did make that up on the spot. I need to acknowledge it because I'm a narcissist and I want you to know. Some of this was pre-planned, some of this was planned, some of this was happening right now. That some idea just came to me. And it's important for us to know that, yes, no, and then write this down. So it's Edward spelled Ted is my Instagram. So if you're going to share that knowledge with anyone, make sure to trademark me. You are a hurricane, and my heart is a shelter. Ever so often you pass over me. My shelter is destroyed, and you never stay. Never once you stay and say sorry. So I rebuild my heart and I wait for you to pass on through to knock me down. When the atom bomb falls, clowns will be the first to go. And the world will have to reinvent the sound of laughter. The voice on the loudspeaker isn't a dictator, but an old friend. Addiction doesn't sound like Hitler rants, it sounds like Sunday morning pancakes, pajamas that hold your toes like warm cotton trash bags, the feeling of unsettled leaves like a record left out in the sun too long, or running into your ex without makeup on, or a passing taxi trashing your new pants. God laughing at you, not with you. Addiction doesn't ask anything of you except for everything. It doesn't taste bitter, it tastes like cement with sharp shards in the back of my throat, making it hard to breathe. Addiction is sexy, sweet, sentimental, seductive, and it sucks. Just sucks. This world is a drunk, middle-aged, lush lunatic flicking its cigarette in your face, looking at you like you spouted testicles for a chin. This alien concept chosen sobriety. For the record, I'm not a hero, I'm not inspiring. There's nothing wrong with saying, wow, you're so strong and I admire you. I don't know how you do it. It's just annoying how drunk you are. The brandy on your breath is begging for my attention. And frankly, I'm only in between relapses. You ask me what my sober date is, I'll answer which one. Because I've earned so many chips and earned and lost 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 that I can make a whole island with my 24 hours. Do you know 60% of addicts lie? I'm not your supervillain twirling my mustache. I am Jimmy Stewart describing atom bomb mushroom clouds like they are flowers blooming in the sky, kissing the sun goodnight. I'm the best sex you never had, and I do not suffer from a disease. I am poison in the bloodstream. Addiction is the vaccine to keep you clean. Why pretend I'm setting my best? I'm innocent until proven victim. I'm defenseless to the endless run-on sentence, relentless, running my mind I can't find. I might be back where I started, discarded full throttle to the endless bottom of bottles. Breathe. I am an unfinished sentence. Breathe. Once I was a run-on. Breathe. An incoherent, flourishing forest fire across the page with ink blots and spelling errors and casualties and dry mouth with no intention of stopping, of ever coming to a point. I'd like you to know that I noticed you noticing, and I agree it would be nice to try one time. I'd like you to follow me, following your feet to the foot of your bed until I am in your head. With your permission, our clothes will be talented enough to make Pollock paintings piles on the floors, and I would love for you for a few minutes. It would be so nice and sentimental, sickeningly sweet. Don't think twice, you know it all, just do it. It would be nice to let me die in your arms. Where is my subject? I am an unfinished sentence. When I once was a run-on, I've been reduced to a fragment, a choppy white crystal treasure trove, filled with to the water's edge with plastic and gum wrappers. Ever since I was little, I never finished what I started, so I started a sentence. It'll be nice, because I think it would be nice to die in your arms. I hope, because this is probably one of the most profound experiences of your life, you're welcome. You come away from this changed and different. You think about those words. You think about that lying sun in the sky. Don't be one of these. Dare to be a pinprick in a blanket, standing there. To us, and at a distance, might look like a small little thing. But when you get close enough, everyone, everyone dreams. And we're all made of stars. So, let's stop taking it so seriously all the time. maybe like acting like we're better than, or like we're healing, isn't always healing. Like, let's be okay with talking about gender and sexuality. Let's be okay with talking about critical race theory and the complex history of this nation. Let's talk about the complex history of institutions. Places like these have saved my life. And in another era, they would have killed me. Because I look fabulous. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of it.
I've heard it's no crime to make rhymes out of words. One begins with a book that is bare, and a person who teaches the rule of the craft and the way to write poems so fair. So I asked where to start in this art form so grand, how to fill this expanse, not with love. She replied, here's the plan, grab a pen and attack. Write a poem called Abracadabra. So I tried, but she cried. There's no life in your work, there's no art, it is dull, there's no flair. She said, poetry breathes when it's brimming with song, magic images floating on air. So I tried. So I dug deep. I jumped in to write verse of remarkable hue, adjectives in a row, good galore. So my book was amassed with such beautiful words, and the space left for nary a more. But my teacher yelled, yikes, in her horror and fright. Start afresh, simplify and repair. So I did. I erased all my words without trace, and I'm back to my pages so bare.
Woo!
So our next reader is Dina Tavares, or otherwise known as Jimmy Jeans. She's a creative, fluid, exhibiting visual artist, published poet, singer, songwriter, actor. She has appeared on Dedham TV, HCAM Studios, Wake Up and Smell the Poetry. She was in We Did It For You, Art on the Trails, and Hope Through Community. She is an Arts Connect International Ripple Grant recipient. She's also received 2 scholarships from the William Joyner Institute for War and Social Consequences Writers Workshop. Dina strongly believes in the power of art, music, words, positivity, love, peace, and hope to heal, to create change. Art is life, and life is art. Dina Tavares.
Big thank you to Deborah for inviting me to be a part of this event. It's so great to be involved with all these amazing, talented performers here and sharing this natural space with you all. It feels good, energizing this space with positivity. I can imagine years ago what it was like. But I believe that change, that we can't heal the world unless we are consistently working to heal and change ourselves first. I have had a long journey already, and I'm very fortunate to be here with you all today, standing. Now, I want to take you on a lyrical journey with me, starting with something deeply personal. This is the first time I shared this in a setting like this. The longest poem I've ever written. Speak louder. Yes. I believe that when we share our stories, we open the doors to the hearts of others and remind one another that we are not alone. We heal to change. Lifelong. 5 young woes left to linger, wiping tears with pinky fingers, tears of a clown peering down. Now I know 9 red poppies will be gone tomorrow. Gray-head youngsters cannot follow. Cock it, spin it, just a game, can blast away all letters in a name. It's just my imagination. Annihilation. Cut open fresh skin with 10 surgical knives. I'm a samurai, fighting, adapting, then growing with the sky. Straighten up and fly, right? Day overtakes night. Hello, womanhood 11. Who even can flooding like three gorges. Damn. Stained just like the son of Sam, never taking an interest in any man. More than a woman, one can dream. Sucked out of the world at 13, a year unplanned, missing the touch of friendship's hand. No immunity within these veins, penny candy-like prescription pills melting tiny brains. Realizing I'm a whole different brand. An hourglass with endless sand. Lean on me, I'm a tree. They cut into old scars, 17, 4 times more, knocking briefly upon death's door, the one grandma opened 2 days before. Days, weeks, months, just a blur. I take my cocktail shaken, sir. Please, may I have some more? My peers are nurses, nurses are patients, patients are friends, friends are family, passing out again, full force. We are the champions. Time for another chorus or course. Vomiting away residual tears, 18 to 23, side effects of illness, childhood fears, beside school books, outside car doors, already adjusted from that life we had before, new uncharted territory to explore. Route 66, pedal to the floor. New stitches, 23, new locations, minimizing past frustrations. I'm alkaline, on the mend, drinking, swallowing once again, projectile sunshine. May I lend Aquarius, letting it all in. Crushed again, 24, bricks held me down, tethered vines cut, 6th time now. Electrical currents raged, high-pitched howls roared, throughout hallways, echoing through opened doors, drowning out all other sound, tickling feet, shrieking aloud, melting, crawling beneath the crowd. Lifeless, 25 through 30, Ma and Papa went their way too. I was still just traipsing through lightning bolt realms and strawberry fields for years. Cardinals and hearts, invisible tears. From upon cushioned seats, from porcelain to replaced ladder, altering, adrift. Floating upon opioid streams, relief only within lucid dreams. Yellow submarine, my voice careened. Finally recovering 30 when she tried to leave, knocked me right off, still aching feet. White lipstick covered, unbrushed teeth, not yet strong, though I had to be. You found me, she said, relieved. Head slamming to the ground, 37, crashing upon light, enhancing sound, flashing for months, scarily blinking, pounding enclosure, extinguished, clear, thinking. Numb, eyes twiddling like thumbs. An insignificant insect can decimate, cord tethering once more, 40, knocking again upon the dark entity's door, slumping to the bed instead of collapsing to the floor, cataloging artwork to give away, suddenly informed, once again, I could stay in my skin, here, 41. So I'm now 46. It's 2022, and here we are still caught up in the topic of skin, right? Still talking about color, still puzzled about gender. It's been a difficult time throughout history. And so one thing that I can think of to say that all of us here know is that the work is never done, right? The next piece is entitled Beautifully Complex. I am so much more than that stereotype within your brain's catalog where preconceived resides and the past leaves behind a fog. I am so much more than just red, just green, just yellow, just ivory, brown, just tan. So much more than just woman or man. You see, I am energy. I am color. I am light, dark globs within palettes, splashes of bright. I am many thickened layers, tertiary colors of paint. Neither a demon nor a saint. I am so much more than breasts and butts, what lies between the thighs, the chitter, the chatter, the buzzing you hear in hives. I am distressed and sandy, then smoothed. Sometimes new colors, always adjusting to new hues. I am open. I am real. I am convex. I am human, reaching out to the world, beautifully complex. We're all complex, right? Most of us have come here from somewhere else, and sometimes we forget, what unites us. We get lost in that a little bit in our world. We forget that we do have some things in common at the very core of our being. When we connect to the heart of another human, we can go so much deeper. And I believe that that's the way we're going to heal our world in general. Connect to the heart of others. So this piece is entitled Precious Ones. You were forged within the fires of generations past until malleable, cooled in the rivers, dredged from the mud, silt, and weeds. Nile tears rested upon your cheeks. Cast into oceans, crossed over countless creeks. Feet soft, though heart thickened, from trudging across rough terrain. The wheat whispered the words from cotton breezes, sweetened with sugar cane. Wampum beads adorn your wrist. Energy from the ocean's core roared within, hidden amongst a northern Atlantic haze, other perspectives, at times too thin. Himalayan breezes and Sahara winds filled your sails. Caribbean squalls propelled you to these shores. Lungs expanded with courage needed to open unknown doors. Over rolling hills you came, over green and sand, similar topography, not so distant lands. Hurricanes brought you here, tides carried you in, on persecution's waves you rode. Thunderous wars and famine's flow brought you here in droves. From all points of the Atlantic, across the Pacific and Mediterranean Sea, tiny grains came together to form many variations of beauty. Sand and ocean merged, and we were created, propagated, cultivated, and harvested from within the belly of the clam, the most precious of pearls from the waters of the world. We have so many differences, which should be acknowledged, of course, but we also sometimes forget we have so many similarities as humans as well. and that this place that we're standing upon belongs to us all. We all deserve to enjoy it, and we all deserve to be seen. This piece is entitled "The Nature of Equality." Nature bends and bows, shimmers and glistens upon furrowed and flattened brow. Did the sun rise, aiming its rays to caress only your face? The ocean's swelling, roaring grace? Do worms tunnel below, giving nutrients to thousands of fibrous arms and roots, only to bless selected hands with the sweetened, tender fruits? Did the mockingbird perfect its trilling trills, caw, caw, caws? Those tweets they impersonate only for specific ears to resonate? Do the flowers scent the air, blossoming accordingly for particular eyes to see? Or are they breezily blowing happily free? Did the clouds part, allowing the sun's warmth solely to grace your skin? I'm certain the buttercups grew to also dance their delicate light across my chin. On the topic of equality, I'm still not equal. Women are still not equal. Although Michelle Obama did once say, there is no door that you cannot walk through, and I wholeheartedly believe that. That's how I have chosen to move through the world. My body, my choice, right? This next piece is dedicated to a dear castmate from We Did It For You, a play about women's rights, that I had the honor of performing beside, who is no longer here with us, Sandy McGrath. Talk about healing, right? Grateful woman. I'm grateful for you. The roads that were paved, I have strolled along to. I'm grateful for you. I wear combat boots, pants as I please, a low-dipping shirt or skirt that stops at my knees. As feminine as I wish, unleashing my masculinity, not buttoned or tied up with corsets, I'm free. You shouted in darkness, protested in cold, never quieted your voices when your children were sold. Beaten and battered, bloodied and bruised, pushed through the darkness, changed all the rules. Your light gave us power, the hard as granite will blast through. Excavate hope, tread soil paths to our truths. I learned from your lessons, heeded your words. My wingspan is wide. I too can fly like those birds. I'll carry the seeds that you planted, disperse them throughout my days, repave the paths, shining spotlights that ripple within their waves. This next piece I performed at the Dedham Middle School for an MLK event they had, and the thought that I had going into that event was, what if Martin Luther King Jr. never had a dream? You know, we always tell children to stop daydreaming, something I heard frequently as a kid. Stop daydreaming, and when in fact I believe we need to be encouraging more of that. Because quite often, you know, dreams bring about hope, and the hope that change is possible, and a change that could include us all. So this piece is, what is a dream? That pebble within the water that ripples across oceans of change, within the eyes of our teenagers and elders, those stars that remain. Tiny seeds of peace sown into the fabric of all hearts. Not the finish line, but the exact point from where the journey starts. The pollination of young minds with compassionate thoughts. No talks about war, because there are none being fought. The trajectory of lives crashing into understanding. One small step for womankind, our humankind, moon landing. The yellow wings of hope flying over blues and reds, blending them to purple. Love that slowly creeps in, wins the race, that slow, patient turtle. A breath blown back into the lungs of a defeated nation. Collective empowerment for future generations. The one who stands alone like a redwood tree, becoming part of the forest of community. A voice once muffled, suddenly heard. The answers within vowels, syllables of words. The bright-eyed child who knows their worth. The little girl with red ribbons, equal at birth. That door left open so others can walk through. The kindness inside me that lives inside you too. A voice that slices through for the voiceless, loud. Human beings with a rainbow of faces holding their heads up, proud. With all of the injustices that happen within our world, it's so important for us all to replenish. And, my creative outlets help me to do that, but it's nature, nature that holds me, that really makes me reconnect and find my way again. It gives me hope each and every time. It reminds me that there's still so much beauty within this world. This piece is entitled Awe and Delight. The lightest air passed through every strand of her hair. Within her hands, she clasped it. It wouldn't go stale, held it to her nostrils, and deeply inhaled. Suddenly lost within another dimension, microbes and fungi, vines woven to perfection. Warm soil welcomed fingers drawn into warm, then cooled center. Tiny tunnels created, paths where new life would enter. She saw all the rocks, their embedded flecks of minerals, house sparrows perching upon green roof finials. Cardinals and blue jays called to her. She returned their song. They were never gone for very long. So I just want to say, every day, we have a choice. We make a choice, right? How are we going to move through the world? And it's a decision that we're faced with every day. What do I want to do today? What do I want to say? What do I need for myself to replenish even as well? But it's important to take care of ourselves so we can give back as well. So I want to leave you with this one last thought to ponder. To be the missing piece, the only, the patch, the path, bridge in between gaps, the relief, the restraint, the release, the force to make weapons cease, the quencher, the harvest, the love at first sight, day that overtakes night, the cuddle, the comfort, the cure, the solution, the revolution, and more. Thank you so much.
The next performer is Jackson Gilman. He's a very, very, very talented mime, actor, songsmith, and storyteller. Okay, he is amazing. I've seen him over and over again in Espresso and other places. He's a recipient of the Oracle Award, which is the highest storytelling award from the National Storytelling Network. Jackson's ecology background is from the College of the Atlantic, and that informs his repertoire. He acknowledges that the more one knows about the climate crisis, the more depressing it can be. But Jackson's work is not depressing. While remaining on topic, Jackson Gilman's presentation will also include some hopeful perspectives, some lighthearted satire that can help us remind us to still have fun while addressing these critical issues that are facing us. He calls himself the stand-up chameleon. He draws on his talents as a songsmith, storyteller, movement artist to delight audiences of all ages. He'll be invited to sing along, sign along, move along, and I think he is ready.
So we got a problem, and a lot of our problem is that we didn't follow the model that was set before us by our Native American people. They knew how to walk softly on the earth. And a really good Native American hunter could actually roll on the side of their foot through some crinkly leaves and not make a sound. And that's sort of the literal definition of walking softly on the earth. But in addition, they didn't impact it. It could have been a sustainable model for humans to be on the planet. But we Westerners don't walk too soft. We kind of like. So there's an image in this first piece is a rap by Dick Siegel, and the last line is talking about walking softer on the earth, which we need to figure out how to do. So it's called All My Naughty Children. All the naughty children of Mother Nature hanging on the cusp of ugliness. Dig it up, ram it up, build it up, jam it up, chew it up, jam it up, and make a big mess. All the naughty children of Mother Nature doing anything that comes to mind. Gimme, take, turn the Buddha, shake and bake, try and make $1 at it every dime. All the naughty children of Mother Nature, one of these days gonna have to pay up. When there is no heir or water for their sons or little daughters, grandchildren dip into an empty cup. Then Mother Nature say, sorry, but I told you so. It's getting late and I think you gotta go. I gave you just a few rules, but you wouldn't heed me, running around acting like you really didn't need me, so goodbye. Shalom. Buenos noches. I'm gonna give the world to the cockroaches. No puedo caminar. Then your cars won't start, lights won't light, shoes won't walk, you'll just be sitting tight. Computers, typewriters collecting dust, grizzlies and such all turn into rust. And when E.T. returns from his trip to the stars, he'll be surprised at what lies between Venus and Mars. On home. So it used to be a haven for flesh and blood, will now just be a cockroach-infested bowl of crud. They'll be living in the buildings we built so tall, living in the sweaters on rack shopping malls. They'll be living in the brown grass, staring on the hills, living in the banks among the $50 bills. They'll be living in the glove compartments of a car. They'll be living in our cities and our VCRs. They'll be living everywhere, which is really nothing new, except now they'll be there without me and you. Oh, what a nightmare, a pity and a shame. Yes, it's a nightmare and a pity and a shame, but survival. That's the name of the game, Mother Nature. She really likes the cockroach. She enjoys their low impact approach. They don't eat too, think too, drink too much. They don't make too, take too, break too much. And Mother Nature gonna make a landlord ever build and take away the world from all my children. All my naughty children, all my naughty children. There's hypodermic needles sticking out of the beach. like fresh air, but I just can't reach it. What are these green things going on in my hand? I'm feeling kind of weird in my pituitary gland. Take a deep breath and start to cough. Go swimming in the lake and my skin falls off. Doctor, can you tell me what's wrong? And your doc starts singing this new pop song. I don't know what you got. It's just something going around. You picked it up in the air, maybe on the ground. And the only cure that's been found to me, only remedy. To be sick and found to me, the only remedy with official approval is utter, total, special removal. Utter, total, spatial removal. And if your sense of perpetuity objects, let's say, take a look at Tyrannosaurus Rex. It happened to them. It could happen to us, just like that, no fuss. For them, it was a little bit of bad luck. With us, it's a case of passing the buck. All one way, down a one-way street to all the other children of Mother Nature, giving Mother Nature whether she can take to mix hack to plain Lord of a bill, and takes away the world from all of our children. All my naughty children, all my naughty children, all my naughty children. It doesn't take an Einstein or a Thomas Edison to realize the price of all the bad medicine, and maybe before there's no more human race, we ought to take a look what's in front of our face. The water trickling down your hand. Little capillaries running through your hand because Mother Nature. So you got to be a pupil of a natural school. Want to see the product of the state next. Don't want to donate the world to the insects. Better walk a little softer. Just a little bit softer. Gotta walk a little bit softer. Just a little bit softer. Gotta walk a little bit softer. Just a little bit softer. All right, so now, it's getting really hard to be a climate denier now. It was a lot easier, 20 years ago when that movie came out, Inconvenient Truth, some people said, it's just a lot of scientists making up grant money for themselves. It's nothing to worry about. It's just, Well, now it's in our face. You can't really deny it now. But, so even if we didn't have all the graphs and the science and all the proof here, we're all old enough to be able to just look back at our own child to prove the fact that something's changing. Because when we were kids, and we went out on a hot, bright day like today, and you wanted to protect yourself from the sun, you might go to the drugstore and you get yourself some sun lotion. And it wasn't that long ago, just our generation, when you had a choice to make. First, you had to pick which brand you wanted. For some reason, I was always attracted to the copper tone display. There's something very fetching about that. But then I had to make a decision about what level of protection I wanted. And my choices, only 40-some years ago, were level 2, level 4. The highest I ever saw was 8. Nowadays, when you get serious about protecting yourself from the sun, where do you have to start? 15, 30, where's this going to end? So we'll take that to its logical extreme conclusion with the help of my friend Phil Hose, and a song you all know that you'll be able to help me with. And we'll see, make a point here with some probability. I should be wearing my concert hat here. Yeah, concert beach hat here. I took my children down to Concert Beach. We packed a bagel and a fuzzy peach. We stopped to buy some sunscreen, but all that we could find was one huge bottle of Sun Lotion 99. Right on the label it said, guaranteed all the protection that you'll ever need. I winked at the kids and I gave them both a sign. Please rub my back with, help me now. Sun Lotion 99. They pulled at the cap and it twisted at last. It rumbled and it roared and came out with a blast. It oozed down my back and said hard as a cast. I tried to move, I could not budge. I wasn't fast. The kids got rocks and tried to break my shell. It broke the rock to turn me black and blue as well. I hate to face the fact, but it seems that I'm confined to a solid block of. You know, the musical break, you know it. Take it. Dee-dee, 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 dee-dee. I tried to move, I could not work budge. I was so fast. The kids got bored and then ran off to play. I cannot move and so right here I lay. The tide's coming in and I hope they're not too late. Next time I'm gonna settle for Sun Lotion 98. Sun Lotion 98. Sun Lotion 98. Okay. So you get the idea how I make some of my points comedically and satirically. And you're going to wonder, why the heck am I going to put this song in the show? I do a whole bunch of science shows, and one of them's all about marine science. And I put this song in the show, and people, what the heck's that about? It's a song you all know. If you ever watched Sesame Street, it's Elmo's favorite bath time song. You know what his favorite toy was? Of course. So if you know the song, you can sing the original with me now, and then I'll explain to you why I'm putting it in the show. Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. Rubber ducky, I'm my very best friend. It's true. Boop boop be doo. Rubber ducky, joy of joys. When I squeeze you, you make noise. Rubber ducky, you're my very best friend. It's true. Every day when I make my way to the tubby, I find a little fellow that's cute, yellow, and chubby. Rubber ducky, rubber ducky, you're so fine. I'm so lucky that you're mine. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of. Rubber ducky, I like a whole fond of. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully. I'm sorry, but we interrupt this regularly scheduled bath time to bring you this late-breaking news report that actually came across the news channels in the winter of 1992. You know where they make all this plastic junk, of course. Yeah, and so they have to be shipped across the Pacific Ocean from China to a port in Washington called Tacoma. And and there are these huge container ships. And the seas were really rough. One of those crossings, and the container ship had a lot of trouble. And in fact, one of the containers broke off of the ship, broke open. And what was inside?
Rubber duckies.
A lot of them, 20-some thousand. And they were there at the mercy of the tide and the current and the waves. What happened to them all? Well, somebody studied this because they turned up in a lot of different places, and he wrote a scientific tome about it. And it's the subtitle is "The True Story of 28,000 Bath Toys Lost at Sea, and of the Beachcombers, Oceanographers, Environmentalists, and Fools, including the author, who went in search of them." So Donovan Hone wrote this big, thick, scholarly, scientific journal here about, and I love the title in the picture. It's called Moby Duck. Yeah. Now, you could read the book and find out what they learned from where these all landed, or you could just listen to my parody of the song. In 92, some Chinese junk bound for Tacoma almost sunk. Containers of cargo were busted up and set free out on the sea. 20,000 yellow toys on the waves, the Bobby Boy, the rubber duck Navy accidentally was deployed. Here's one of my rubber duck sailors there. Yeah. They weren't fishing, but had a mission to free us from all our cares and woes. Friendly floaties to free us. Tweedledee-us, rubber duckies washed ashore from Hawaii to Singapore. Rubber duckies were showing up everywhere, from Scotland to Delaware. They were in bottles with a note, put goodwill on boys that could float. A rubber duck flotilla even made it to Peru. They won't make you sick like a toxic orange agent, but Agent Yellow is a secret fellow who was sent. Here's my little secret agent ducky there. Rubber duckies for miles and miles. Everywhere they landed, they brought smiles. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of. Rubber ducky, I like a whole pond of. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. Okay, take a bow there, you little ducky. Okay, so now the point of that is, that wasn't that long ago, 1992, 30 years. And during that time, and when I wrote this, and even before that, these things ended up all over the planet. It's not a little ocean. I mean, it's not it's a huge ocean, but conceptually it's really small. So people think, oh, there's no problem. There's a little radiation in Fukushima, and it's over there. No. Put a little oil down the drain, it's going everywhere. Okay, so now I got another piece that I have to admit, it's a little on the darker side. I never get to do this piece because it doesn't fit in the show. But he invited me here to talk about this stuff, so I can talk about it. Yeah, so, yeah. Now, I think one of the happiest songs that ever graced the movie stage was in the Jungle Book. Remember Baloo? He's floating there, not a care in the world, singing about the bare necessities. I mean, that's got to be one of the happiest songs ever written on the planet. Well, life was good to him. He was. But he's got a northern cousin. Things aren't so great for him. And so this is his solar cousin's take on that same song. Just want my bare necessities. Here, get a little higher. Just want my bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. My appetite is shrinking every day. To save the bare necessities, stop this global warming, please, before polar ice caps melt away. I used to be happy wherever I roamed. I couldn't be fonder of my icy home. But as it feels we're going south, I find I get down in the mouth. If you don't kick your fix for oil, you know we all are gonna broil. So wake up and smell the crude. If you want the bare necessities to last for good. Because bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes. Some think global warming is all bunk. But we're all in the same big pot. When this planet gets too hot, gotta turn this boat around or we're all sunk. And when I need a meal, I'll go catch me a seal. And an Eskimo has got to go out on the ice and learn how to hunt us bears in turn. He needs something too to put in his Eskimo pie, but if there's no ice sheet beneath our feet, you can kiss us all bye-bye. You starting to get a clue? Yeah. Gotta stay proactive, keep fluorocarbons banned, while talking heads keep their heads in the sand. If you just keep on a-drilling, it's more than bears that you'll be killing. You're all in for a huge surprise when these ocean waters rise. Gotta save our bare necessities, simple bare necessities. If you really want to know the score, to save the bare necessities, stop this global warming, please. Be closely to this song and to Al Gore. The bare necessities of life will have to last. Will come to pass. So please, go solar so I'm not bipolar. Okay, that's about as dark as I'm going to get for the rest of the show. Okay. All right. So now we got problems. What are we going to do to save them? Well, I do these programs for all kinds of ages. And I don't think there's actually much difference between kids and adults. So I'm going to ask you to sing along with me and sign along. It's a really fun song by my friend Dave Orleans that helped interpret. And we're going to save some resources because we got to. You know, there's this finite amount out there and you can't keep using them up. So conserving, we're going to take our 2 V fingers, try this, put them on top of each other and pull them towards you, and that's the sign for saving or conserving. The first thing we're going to save are these beautiful things. Can you imagine what it would be like if you weren't in the shade of other beautiful things right now? Okay, and they're also giving us air that we breathe, and they're the lungs of this planet. Okay, so we're going to save some trees for me, please. Save some trees for, I'm going to say when we grow up, and you echo me. When we grow up. You have to, there's a whole bunch of verses here, so feel free to copy us. Actually, echo me. If I were a tree, if I were a tree, in the middle of the woods, with the sun and the rain, I'd feel real good. I'd make some shade to cool my friends, my part. And I'd grow buds and seeds and leaves on the branches, and the birds and the squirrels would make home, and the chances are good that I'd be happy. Right to the end, echo. Right to the end. Save some trees with me. Save some trees for me, please. Save some trees for when we grow up. When we grow up. Now some streams. If I were a fish, just swimming in a stream, I'd have a lot of fun. If you know what I mean, and say hi to a frog, looking for a fly. And I'd hide in the weeds from that funny old muskrat. Stay away from worms on hooks, because I know that I'd rather live here in the stream till the day I die. Till the day I... Streams. Save some streams for me, please. Save some streams for when we grow up. When we grow up. If I were the beach by the beautiful sea, I'd love to feel the waves washing over me. I'd invite some kids to play in the sand. And I'd build my own castles with dune grass upon them. They'd keep that in the sea if no one stepped on them. So save me from traffic, and please keep your trash off me. Keep your trash off me. Beach. Save some beach for me, please. Save some beach for when we grow up. If I were a cloud, just floating through the sky, I'd have a nice time as I drift on by. I'd float to the sea to fill with rain. And I'd rain on the city and all the people in it. I'd clean all the dirt from the air in a minute. The sky be blue when the sun came out again. Came out again. Air. Save some air for me, please. Save some air for when we grow up. One more verse. If I were the sun, making daytime bright, looking down on the earth, spinning day and night, like a great big ball of blue and green, where the land and the sea and the sky come together, and the wind and the clouds swirl around making weather. It's the prettiest doggone planet that I've ever seen. World. Save some world for me, please. Save some world for when we grow up. When we grow up. Good job. Thanks for singing along with me. Okay, I mentioned the ball of blue and green. You know what we're talking about there. Kids these days, they go to school and they got that beginning of the school day, they have this drilled into them. They know that's well, it's getting harder and harder to do that sometimes, but we want to keep our planet, our Earth, our country on the right path. It's getting harder and harder and harder to do these things. But more important than learning a pledge to a particular flag in a particular country, we're realizing we're in this whole thing together. So I think we need to add another Pledge of Allegiance to our repertoire that takes a bigger account of all the creatures that call this beautiful place we got here home. And that's not just people of other cultures and religions and skin colors and all that, but it's also the animals who, you know, they were here before us, and They have just as much right to be here as we do, if not more. So we're going to incorporate all that together, and we're going to learn a new Pledge of Allegiance. And so I need, is it Lori? What's Lori? Lori, can you actually come up with it and hold it for me? You're going to need my atlas, okay? You got it. You're going to put this, and everybody else is going to put their hand on their heart. Put it on your shoulders like atlas. Yeah, all right, yeah, you got it. All right, and you can repeat after me here. And I pledge allegiance to the web of life, of which we're each a strand, and to our planet Earth, on which we stand, one ecosystem, under the sun, interdependent, with diversity and respect for all. Amen. Hands are atlas. Love it. If anybody wants a copy, if anybody has a problem with that pledge, they can just go find themselves another planet. Good luck. But if you want a copy of that pledge, you're welcome to take one of these with you. And I'd be glad to share that with you. This is my atlas. She was 2. She's 22 now, but she's holding up my finger. So we got to figure out how we're going to actually make these changes. Because we got the problems. The problems are getting really clear. So what are some solutions? Okay, we're going to skip a whole set here and just cut to this one. And here's a song you all know. You've been singing along with me pretty well here, so now you can sing along with this one because you all know this one. Old Bob, our poet laureate, was responsible for this original version, but my friend Paul Kaplan did a really nice job of adapting it. How can we send global warming away, make it a thing of the past? How can we power our houses and cars without using oil or gas? How can we find an energy source that's clean and expensive and vast? The answer, my friend, is blowing away. The answer is blowing and blowing. You can feel it now too. Doesn't that feel good? How many times can a person look up and never see blades in the sky? And how many years can we drill, baby, drill, and watch Mother Earth slowly die? And how many more must we send off to war to ensure our oil supply? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a beach house exist before it is washed to the sea? And how many times can a person insist we all have to change except me? How much catastrophe must we endure before we can finally agree? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Okay. So, how many years can we look up and not see a blaze in the sky? So, I really like Teddy's set. But he had this. That was the cluster of people there. This is gonna be our rotor of the wind turbines, and we're gonna actually. I want to turn you all into wind turbines in a second here. But first, I want to show you some more signs here because we do have to find alternative sources of energy. And actually, why don't we just go direct? And we have one source of all our energy on this planet. All the fossil fuels, everything came indirectly from our one power source. So, this is a sign for sun. Can you draw it for me? Sign it and shine it. Okay. So the sun is a sign for warm. There's like warm breath coming in and out. So the sun warms up the top layer of the earth here. Wow. The wind is really getting caught here. We need a windscreen for this thing. All right, there you are. But you can still hear me, right? Yep. Yeah. So it's the warms the top layer of the earth. And so that radiant heat of the top layer of the earth, warm air, what's it do? It rises. So when it rises, you cannot have a vacuum in nature. Nature abhors a vacuum. So other air is going to come in. It's probably going to be cooler air, and it could move in pretty fast in the form of So let's harness it. And actually, for this one, it's a lot more fun if you stand up. Humor me. You've been sitting for a while here. This is a little aerobic exercise. It's not too demanding here. We'll take it slow on that. But try. This is a song by my friend Monty Harper. This is the sun shining down on earth. This is the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. This is the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. This is the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. This is the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. This is the generator running on the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. Two currents, put them together. This is electricity flowing from the generator running on the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. This is the light from the lamp I lit with electricity flowing from the generator running on the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on. This is the book I'm reading in the light from the lamp I lit with electricity flowing from the generator running on the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. What is the title of the book I'm reading in the light from the lamp I lit with electricity flowing from the generator running on the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth. You know all the words now. I can say this last part. This is the sun shining down on earth is the title of the book I'm reading in the light from the lamp I lit with electricity flowing from the generator running on the rotor spinning in the wind blowing in, the air rising up through the warmth of the sun shining down on earth.
Beautiful.
Okay, thanks for making a wind farm with me. I think I'll just do one more piece here, and it's gonna right on the heels of what Dina. Is it how you might say your name right? Dina. Yes. Dina. She was talking about replenishing our energies and where she gets her best source of that, and that's direct. Oh yeah, look at that. It's a swallowtail. Wow, beautiful. Thanks for your appearance too. So yeah, we're gonna follow that same idea and do one more song. It's a really short sing-along, sign-along. You'll be able to do what you've been doing. And the writer of this is a fellow, John Fromer. He was a TV producer out in California, a really good one. He won a lot of Emmys. But that kind of job is really pretty high pressure because there's always deadline, boom, 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 boom. High stress job. But he kept himself grounded because he was an avid outdoors person, and he knew what the best prescription was when you need to replenish and recharge your batteries. And that's what he did regularly. So he said he found this song on top of Hawk Mountain. And it's got 3 short verses. It's simple enough. You can, I'll break it down for you. You can sing along and sign along each verse. Give us the peace. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep this one sacred. Can I turn this off? I'm just going to turn it off on this. Yeah. We're going a cappella. Oh, yeah. Go back. It worked well with the turbine, but yeah. Okay. You can hear me, right? Especially if I project.
All right, I should have done this the whole show. This is an easy crowd. You guys, lovely crowd. And hey, Thea's going to be up after me, and thanks so much for inviting me. And everybody for making this happen here. And we're going to learn a lot about this place that I didn't know anything about. We can go in there afterwards and learn more about it. So this is a resource that's just waiting to be tapped. And oh man, we got a lot to learn and support. So anyhow, we're going to recharge our batteries here with the help of John Frobe. Give us the peace of a mountain. Give us the patience of the trees. Give us the open arms of the heavens. Give us the passion of the sea. So try this. Give us the peace of a mountain. Give us the peace of a mountain. The patience of the trees. Give us the patience of the trees. The open arms of the heavens. Give us the open arms of the heavens and the passion of the sea. Give us the passion of the seas. Put that together. Give us the peace of a mountain. Give us the patience of the trees. Give us the open arms of the heavens. Give us the passion of the sea. Teach us the music of the river. Teach us the kindness of a breeze. Teach us the harmony of a rainbow. Teach us to sing like wind through the trees. Teach us the music of the river. Teach us the music of the river, the kindness of the breeze. Teach us the kindness of the breeze, the harmony of the rainbow. Teach us the harmony of the rainbow, and to sing like wind through the trees. Teach us to sing like wind through the trees. Teach us the music of the river. Teach us the kindness of the breeze. Teach us the harmony of a rainbow. Teach us to sing like wind through the trees. Show us a love as deep as the ocean. Show us the secrets in the stone. Show us the courage of a mother's heart. Show us the wisdom in our bones. Show us the love as the ocean. Show us a love as deep as the ocean. The secrets in the stone. Show us the secrets in a stone, the courage of mother's heart. Show us the courage of a mother's heart, and the wisdom in our bones. Show us the wisdom in our bones. Show us a love as deep as the ocean. Show us the secrets in a stone. Show us the courage of a mother's heart. Show us the wisdom in our bones. One more piece of the mountain. Give us the peace of a mountain. So remember what that song telling you about. Plug in. It's there. It's a tough time we're going through, and nature's there. We just have to plug into it. And the journeys, thank you for inviting me. And it's going to turn it over now to the hostess with the mostest here. Let's put this whole thing on for us. Let's give a hand for Tia.
Jackson, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to do just a short few pieces here. I'm really glad that you're all here today. very difficult to follow Jackson. I'm intimidated. But the Pope went to Washington, and because I'm Jewish, I went too. 200 of us moved our Yom Kippur services to the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in order to support the Pope's encyclical about climate. It was Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year, the day that we fast and atone for our sins. And as the sun was turning the Washington Monument a golden pink, we read our sins. And usually these are from being self-absorbed or not caring about our spiritual development. But this time, it was different. For the harm, the hurt, the damage we have caused by not recycling. Via kulam elokos selachot. For all these sins, God of mercy, selachmanu, pardon us. Mechalanu, forgive us. Kaperlanu. For the harm, the hurt, the damage we have caused by killing off 10,000 species a year and destroying the rainforest. Selachlanu, Mechalanu, Kaperlanu. For the harm, the hurt, the damage we have caused by using dirty fuels. Vial, kulam, elokos, selachot, selachlanu, Mechalanu, Kaperlanu. Over the distance, this distant loudspeaker, we could hear the Pope speaking. And at that very same time, we started reading the prayer from the earth from his encyclical. Bring healing to our world, that we may not prey on it, that we may protect it, that we may sow beauty, and not protection, and not pollution and destruction. Usually in the service, the rabbis read from the books of the prophets. But this time, it was different. They read from spiritual leaders like Martin Luther King, who said all life is connected, tied to a garment of destiny. What affects one affects all. I could see the Canada geese landing in the reflecting pool, the little bugs swirling on the ground, and the airplanes flying overhead. Usually, we ended with the chanting of the Kaddish, the Jewish prayer for the dead. And usually we say that for our ancestors, and we only do it once. But this time, it was different. We said it twice, the second time for all the dying species. At the Yom Kippur service, they asked us to complete this sentence. It breaks my heart when I think of the world because it breaks my heart when I think of the world that my grandchildren are inheriting. And look at their 3- and 4-year-old little hands, how they reach up for peanut butter sandwiches, how they spin around for joy when they play with their father, how they curl up at night feeling safe in their beds. They don't know that resource wars have already started, that millions are on the move, running from rising waters and debilitating drought when they're in their 20s and 30s and they're desperate for food and caught in wild weather. Well, they glare at me and ask me, why didn't you do more? What will I say? That it was different back then? That I was too dazzled by the conveniences of capitalism to join into a solidarity economy? That I kept using gasoline. I didn't put solar panels on my house because of the expense, and I didn't stop oil companies from fracking and building pipelines because I had something better to do? I'll tell them that I went to Washington because I believed that one pope could make a difference. And I'll tell them that I wrote a poem that I shared with some people one afternoon, people who I believe want to sow beauty and not pollution and destruction, and people who believe that all life is connected. And I'll tell them that I looked into those people's eyes and I asked them to join in so that we could face the future together. Because united, we could share this burden of fear and act together. Because this time, it is different. Thank you. Thank you. I'll never forget it, November 4th, 2008. I was sitting in the Super Suds laundromat, wash and fold, in Long Beach, California. Not because I didn't have a washer and dryer. It's because I was the polling inspector at the election. And usually my staff and I, we had like 100 voters a whole day. But this year, this election, we had like 100 voters every hour. And they were out the door, along the block, and I had to walk up and down the line and show all these first-time voters how to use the machine. They were set up in the back room where all the big dryers are. And in the front room, there was a TV with the election results going on. And because I was the boss, I could sneak into the front room and I could see what's going on. Obama's numbers were going up. And I was so excited. I mean, in my lifetime, to experience the possibility of the first African American becoming president of the United States, I mean, it was history in the making, and I was ecstatic. But at the same time, on the ballot was Proposition 8, that was trying to amend the California Constitution so that I could not marry the woman I love. The fight for same-sex marriage in California was fierce. And a friend of mine, a minister, she made these T-shirts and emblazoned across the front. It says, "Everyone matters." I loved wearing my T-shirt. I wore it everywhere, train stations, airports. People loved it. They smiled. They laughed. You could see it in their eyes. It'd go right on. Yes, they knew what it meant, and it meant what it said. Everyone matters. So that day at the election, I'm watching Obama give his acceptance speech, and I'm feeling such incredible joy. And just at that moment, the numbers for Proposition 8 flashes across the screen. It passes by 52%. 7 million of my fellow Californians decided that I should not marry the woman I love. The profound joy and the utter pain in my body at the same time, I thought my body would break. Well, a lot's happened since 2008. Proposition 8 was declared unconstitutional, and I married the woman I love. And Obama was president for 8 years. He lived through it. He was not shot, lynched, killed. These were all good things. What's not good? I can't wear my T-shirt anymore. I get angry stares and negative comments. And I had to put it away in the drawer. But maybe that's a good thing. The systemic racism that we've been swimming in this country since it was founded is out in the open. And we get daily proof of the bias against people of color. Michael Brown, George Floyd. You know, Long Beach is 41% Hispanic and 14% African American. But I was made the boss because of my white advantages. You know, the statement Black Lives Matters tells me to check my white advantages, white privilege at the door. I mean, I'm not followed around in stores the way my friend Sandra is. I can use a credit card without an ID. I could dress like a slob and not be a reflection on my race. I mean, I've been stopped by traffic cops. I've had no problem. Hell, I even closed down an international airport. I was confronted by the FBI, the CIA, the ATF, the bomb squad, the police, the fire department. They had their guns and they were grilling me and they were yelling at me and they were really, really mad at me. I wasn't arrested. I wasn't choked. I lived through it. So if you ask me if we have equal justice in this country, I say until I can wear my t-shirt, we're not there yet. Thank you. And we're running late, so I'm going to read just one more piece. And I'm really grateful that everybody showed up for this. I'm grateful for all the performers. I'm grateful for Belforge and the Cultural Alliance of Medfield. Thank you all for letting us do this, and I hope we come back. And I hope the great programming that they're going to have all summer. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everybody. So I've always wanted to be a writer. And after getting 3 college degrees in computer science, it finally dawned on me that I could study writing. So I went to the Gay and Lesbian Center in Los Angeles to start to learn how to write. And the first day of class, our teacher, Terry Wolverton, tells us to write down a truth and a lie. And then we'll go around the room and we'll tell either the truth or the lie, and the other students will guess is it the truth or the lie. And I thought of something really great, and when it came to my turn, I said, I had breakfast with Meryl Streep. And they're all laughing, saying, that's so funny, what a lie. Well, that was the true one. The lie was more science fiction, that I traveled into my father's brain to his limbic system, the seat of his emotions. And after that class, I thought, that was a really good idea. So I started working on it as a story, and I turned it into a play called Brain Swamping. And in the play, Albert Einstein's daughter tells my main character, Grace, that she could shrink her down into so small that she could travel in any brain she wants. And Grace says, okay, I want to travel into my father's brain, to his limbic system, to see the seat of his emotions, because I don't think he has any emotions. So Dr. Einstein says, okay, we can do that. So she puts Grace in a boat, puts a snorkel on her, gives her a copy of Gray's Anatomy, and shrinks her down real small, and she sends her off traveling, rowing through the ventricles of her father's brain. So in the next scene in the play, Grace is sitting in her therapist's office with her father. And her therapist says to her, Grace, is there something you want to say to your father? And Grace is kind of out of it, not really paying attention. And the father starts talking about how his children were his little army. And the therapist says, isn't there something you want to say to your father? But she's too afraid to say anything. And the father goes on to say that he's the general. He's like the general of the army. And the therapist asks him, do you love your daughter? And he says, my friends know the answer to that question. And then he goes on to talk about the family. He says, it was a privilege to be in our family, but they all had responsibilities. They had to be the best that they could be. We had troubles with her. I determined that her nervous system was wired backwards, so she never finished anything that she ever did. The play goes back and forth between the different scenes of Grace rowing in the boat and the therapist's office, and then some flashbacks like having dinner with all the kids all around the table, and it's starting with the what the kids learned in school that day, and the dinner would turn into a 2-hour lecture about Aristotle and the dinosaurs. And then the therapist presses her and says, Grace, isn't there something you want to tell your father? But Grace is too afraid to say anything, and so she keeps rowing through the cerebral spinal fluid. And she gets to a bend in the fornix, and then she sees it, the limbic system, the seat of his emotions. And she wants to go rowing toward it, but all of a sudden, Dr. Einstein says, Grace, you've got to get out of there. You're going to be growing, and you've got to get out of there quick. And then the therapist says, Grace, is there something you want to tell your father? But Grace is curious about the limbic system, so she's growing closer and closer and trying to get there. And she sees the cable between the limbic system and the neocortex is kind of dangling in the fluid. And she wants to try to connect it, but Dr. Einstein is saying, quick, you got to get out of there. You're gonna grow too big. And the therapist is saying, isn't there something you want to say to your father? And Grace grabs the cables and takes them, and the boat is rocking, and she's getting all covered with the cerebral spinal fluid, but she's got them, and then she connects them, and then she says, no one is allowed to hurt me the way you did ever again. In the next scene in the play, Grace and her father are standing outside the therapist's office. It started to rain. And Grace is trying to get away, and she says, I got to get to work. I'll see you later. And the father is saying, wait, can't we go get a cup of coffee and talk? And he's got his arm around her, and he's trying to hold her in. And Grace is trying to get away, but he's holding her in. And then I let go. I leaned into my father's shoulder, and I just let go. I was 42 years old, and it was the first time I ever felt his love for me. I'm standing in the rain, and I'm letting go. After that, my father wrote a letter of apology to all my sisters and to me. I think back to that first writing class where Terry was trying to teach us how to write fiction, because, fiction is actually lying. It just has to seem really real. And, the story about traveling through my father's brain, well, maybe it wasn't totally a lie. And maybe this story about having breakfast with Meryl Streep, well, maybe it totally wasn't total truth. But to tell you that story, well, it's a whole other story. So thank you so much for listening.